Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the final webinar of the 2025 initiatives during the festival week period. This is our 8th webinar where we work with different focuses using the available energy of the festival week to energize the cause in our focus. Today, we meet together, continuing our rhythm of new moon meditation, working with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. In this energy of Capricorn, we will be working with the goal 17, partnership for the goals. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sasha. So we're working within a shorter time frame today, and we usually begin our alignment by bringing everyone into the circle and hearing everyone's voices. And so we don't have time to do that today in that format, but we would like to welcome each person individually without unmuting everyone. As a way to just move through that more quickly and to bring our alignment together. So we won't be able to hear where everyone is, but we will be bringing everyone's names into the circle as we come together here. So we'll start with the panelists, and I'd like to welcome all of us, including Alexander, who has been running everything this week. So welcome, Alexander. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Daniela. Welcome, Iris. Welcome, Judy Harrison. Welcome, Martha Gallahue. Welcome, Michael Stacey. Welcome, Richard Hood. Welcome, Silvano De Pretto. Welcome, Wendy Thompson. And I'm Rebecca Hood, and I believe Iris Spellings was going to, believe Sharon Deep was going to join us. So if you're out there, Sharon Deep, welcome, and please raise your hand so that we can make you a panelist when the time is right. Just before we move into the alignment, which Katya is going to lead us through, let's just take a moment to connect with all those names. And then we have our attendees as well. We have Anna Sklar, Annette Ebbett, Annette Loeffler, Antonella Nobilo, Barbara Annabali, Avon Matheson, Barbara Rolfe, Barbara Williams, Barclay Milne, Brigitte Rasmussen, Brian Houston, Catherine Peer, Christine Moore, Darcia Moss, Dot Maver, Francis Gaudet, Gail Jolly, Gillian Douglas, Jeffrey Swainhart, Karen Gritzka, Lenny Sibilo, Lerner, Lynn Murgia, Mary Ann McKirkin, Mary O'Reilly, Maylee Anderson, Melia Helson, Mahil Pokolonsky, apologies for pronunciation, welcome, Muriel Noah, Nathaniel Borgen, Nick Ortiz, M. Oleski, Olga Delagianis, Olivia Hansen, Pablo Nishipuruk. You can all email me afterwards if I mess up your names. Patricia Wilson, Rebecca Frith, Reiko Nakanishi, Risa, Susan Valentino, Suzanne Maloney, Tara Blasco, Tracy Arba, and welcome Tracy, who is going to actually be giving into the stimulus section, so we can make you a panelist, Tracy. And I seem to only be down to the T's, and that's all I can see. So welcome each and every one. And we take this moment of silence now, and as we then hand over to Katya to lead us into the alignment.
Hello, everybody. Let's calm and get comfortable our physical bodies. Sense the etheric, vibrant, cleanse our feelings and calm our thoughts. And sense the presence of our soul. And beyond that presence, sense the light of the monad. Let's step into the alignment of our individual bodies. And get united with the energies of light and love and will to good. Let's visualize in the middle of our group the bright light, the heart center of the group, with the 3 bright lights above it and 3 bright lights in a point below it. And let's project our individual centers into those of our group and become one. Let's expand those lights to greater lights of the new group of world service. And to even greater lights, the centers of humanity. Let's visualize the triangle of Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, with a point of light that we call Christ, connecting us with the triangle Buddha, avatar of synthesis and spirit of peace. Let's visualize the incoming light from a greater constellation that we're working within this week. And see how it is descending through all those points of distribution to the new group that is holding the network of light of people of goodwill. Let's hear the silence of Shambhala, receiving that light as well. A note of hierarchy. Resounding the note of Christ. And we see this energy projected into 7 years ahead of us. And standing here now. Focusing in our heart center, head center, and ajna center. We start our work.
Thank you, Katya. Thank you, everyone. So we're focusing on Sustainable Development Goal 17, partnerships for the goals. And our meditation work, focusing on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, is one of supporting and strengthening a shared vision of formulated thought forms of solution to address the many issues facing humanity and the planet. The intention is to vitalize thought forms that help to create conditions leading to the transformation and elevation of human consciousness. As this auspicious and potent festival of partnership between hierarchy and humanity draws to a close, we prepare to carry forward the gifts, insights, and energies with which we have been flooded. Today, we invite you to begin the formation of some of these rich energies into practical thought forms for action as we bring our attention to partnership in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. This year's festival, with its significant astrological lineups and events, represents a powerful initiating point for new energies and actions across the next 7 years, up to the next festival week in 2026. The year 2025, preceding the next World Service Festival, is also of huge importance For we are told that a great General Assembly of the hierarchy is held in the 25th year of each century, at which decisions determining hierarchical plans for the next 100 years are taken. One student of the wisdom has suggested that the 2025 conclave will launch the events of the millennium, in which the Aquarian civilization is due to emerge into manifestation. Hierarchical decisions are affected by humanity's progress and responsiveness to the plan in the previous cycles, and here lies an immense opportunity for meaningful, purposeful partnership that can impact on all of humanity. Since the last World Service Festival in 2012, the Sustainable Development Goals have been adopted by the UN. The 2025 timeline is now overlaid with the 2030 agenda, which attempts to drive global partnerships in directions that will support the realization of the SDGs for a sustainable world. The declaration preceding the 2030 agenda states, "Never before have world leaders pledged common action and endeavor across such a broad and universal policy agenda. We are setting out together on the path towards sustainable development and of win-win cooperation. We intend to see the goals and targets met for all nations and peoples and for all segments of society." And yet, decision-making around issues from the Sustainable Development Agenda is not yet fully permeated with the will to good, and still gets bogged in conflicts among national and financial interests. Goal 17. Would you go back, Sasha, to the goal on the slides? Goal 17 speaks to revitalizing the global partnership for sustainable development. In many ways, the goals themselves need revitalizing through reorientation towards a less material, more soul-focused basis. Conscious world service can play a decisive role in this revitalizing process by acting as a bridge between the livingness of the plan and the challenges of enacting the will to good in the manifested world. We are asked to listen deeply to humanity's problems, and through living and listening, to realize the answers. As the flow of understanding and meaning is generated, it becomes available to all as it enters the common pool of human consciousness. We therefore use this moment to contemplate the seed thought. And as we go to the next slide, we can share that seed thought with you. And that seed thought is, that's our meditation seed thought. The seed thought itself is what factors are needed to mobilize the will to good for partnership among humanity and hierarchy for responsible planetary stewardship. Thank you, Sasha. So we have with us, as we heard in the naming section, a group of previous vocalizers from our webinars throughout the years. And they are all going to share with us for a couple of minutes their thoughts around this seed thought of the factors needed to mobilize the will to good for the partnership for responsible planetary stewardship. So all of our presenters, our vocalizers are online. Daniela and Alexander will unmute you when you're ready to speak. Please just raise your hand and you'll be unmuted and be able to speak. So we open the floor now.
I think panelists, they don't have the raise hand button. If I'm wrong, please raise your hands.
Raise your hand.
And so I will just unmute all the panelists, and please take control of your microphone, mute yourself, and when you're ready to speak, please unmute yourself. So Daniela, if you could start unmuting from the end of the list, and I will do it from the top of the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we unmuted all of the panelists, so please, whenever you're ready to share, please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. This is Martha. I have 3 points to make in 2 minutes, and so I'm watching the clock and do not intend to go over time. First of all, in terms of the factors needed to mobilize will to good for partnership, I recommend that we begin by knowing who we are as the new group of world servers. This is a very special category, though I want you to think about the fact that it includes millions of people all over the world, whether they know they're in a group of world servers or not. They're people who are mobilized for the collective good of all. They do good things, they have great skills. And when we know who we are in being honored to relate to hierarchy in the way that we do, I recommend that our primary partnership be with hierarchy. And for me, what that means is to identify all of the connections that we've been given, perhaps on the individual soul basis, and throw that into the pool according to our capacity among all those with whom we work. The group of world servers identifies what group it belongs to, and there are many groups within our ashramic work. The second thing I recommend is educating ourselves. We have to become translators to those who find the goals vague or not working. We have to know the good news beneath the prevailing spin about what is not working. And I would say, for example, we need to know things like the private sector has taken over the spending toward the spending on the part of governments. I believe this year it was $2.7 trillion on the part of private sector versus 2.3 on the part of governments. The third thing I would say is engagement. We can pick, we can choose our particular focus, our esoteric focus within these goals, and then we pick an action. So I recommend, I want to thank 2025 webinar for giving some of us the opportunity to develop a meditation on behalf of redirecting the flow in relation to money, and we'll put that up on the chat box, or you can ask the 2025 webinar for the connection. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martha.
Hello all.
And
can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please say your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Silvana from Melbourne, Australia. I suppose mine is more a bit different to Martha's in terms of action points, but just the reflection on the sea thought, how we as disciples on the path can facilitate the will to good, which is a higher will. And I sought guidance from Raise Initiations, which highlighted on page 110, it is absolutely essential that the will to good be unfolded by the disciples of the world so that goodwill can be expressed by the rank and file of mankind. The will to good of the world knowers is a magnetic seed of the future. The will to good is a father aspect, whilst goodwill is a mother aspect. And from the relation of these two, the new civilization, based on sound spiritual but utterly blind, can be founded. And it appears from this very direct statement that we are impelled to cultivate with as much consciousness as we can muster the potent energies of the will to good in all aspects of our work. Goodwill is understood in the main, especially at this time each year, and is spoken about and expressed through many beautiful and selfless acts of service. What I've observed in my own work, that over the last decade, the words good
We just had a glitch with the microphones. Sorry. Silvana, please unmute yourself again. Silvana, please unmute yourself. And
is that better?
yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. It is goodwill is understood in the main, especially at this time each year, and is spoken about and expressed through many beautiful and selfless acts of service. And what I have observed in my own work, that over the last decade, the words goodwill and synthesis has evolved to become modern-day vernacular and has been infiltrated through business and community organisations as new models of expression. It is those living seeds of thought which permeate the ethers, ready to be impressed upon women and men and anchored into the main to become the new norms of society. This is how we evolve. Our members of the group become the posts of life to assist in transforming forms of selfish materialism into newer and more inclusive forms. We do this through the principles of discipleship outlined by DK through study, meditation, and active.
Silvana, I
Group
apologize.
consciousness has been evidenced through the proliferation of partnerships, the value of partnerships, and the willingness to. You can't hear me.
Your
Can
sound
you hear
is
me?
just it's buffering, so it's
Not very good.
So if you can just make pauses, then the sound will be transferred clearly. So it's just a technological problem, but we apologize and let's allow extra space.
That's okay. Well, maybe I'll pass on to someone else then. That's fine. I'll pass on to someone else.
Thank you, Silvana.
Thank you. Huh?
Iris, you wanted to share?
Yes, thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Rebecca, Martha, and Silvana, and all the panelists. It seems important that we grasp the unity of hierarchical efforts at this time in the midst of the great synthesizing and integrating of forces into one great and potent downpouring of spiritual energy orchestrated by the Christ in order to recognize our small and yet significant part. For us, it involves sensing the vision which will bring about right human relations and then taking responsibility to direct the energies which will lead to our objective, the creation of the new civilization and the new world order. Behind all this activity, watched over by the spiritual guides of the race, but determined and implemented by humanity itself, is found the focused attention of the hierarchy, whose objective is the plan as it embodies divine purpose. To mobilize the will to good, there is a need, I believe, for a constant reflective meditation, which acknowledges our reciprocal relationship with hierarchy. It's a rhythm like our heartbeat, receiving and distributing, invocative and evocative. It's the force of love. Then the will energy, the will to good emanating from Shambhala, can be channeled and directed to strengthen and reinforce the purpose of the United Nations and the meeting of the SDGs. It is together, in collaborative partnership with hierarchy, we create the new civilization and the new world order in line with the plan as it embodies divine purpose. Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you, Iris. Yes, hello, we can hear you. Please say your name and where you're from.
Okay, this is Tracy Arbor from Novi, Michigan. And first of all, I'd like to thank the entire group for all the efforts that they're working on and doing to help humanity move forward in its evolution at this important time. So thank you all. Well, reflecting upon what factors are needed to mobilize the will to good for partnership among humanity and hierarchy for responsible planetary stewardship, what came to me was that if we each embrace and express right soul qualities, factors such as courage, humility, relevance, order, malleability, and endurance, we can then become a positive and effective cell within the organism that is humanity. Amplification of these factors can be achieved through our group focus, and hierarchy can make use of these energies efficiently through the law of economy to mobilize the will to good on our planet. And that's pretty much what I came up with through the reflection of this inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And let's have now a moment of silence to absorb this rich sharing before we go to the next sharing. Thank you.
Blessings to everyone. There were so many thoughts that occurred. It was difficult to settle on anything in particular, but however, a primary thing that came to me was removing labels that we place on ourselves and others so that we can neither like nor dislike, but love in a higher sense, the divinity within everyone and within all creation. And that's following the universal law of love. And through that universal law of love comes the laws of thought. Through the laws of thought, which are the laws of creation, we will build a new world.
Thank you, Michael. Let's have a pause. Thank you.
It's Richard here from Australia. On my reflections from actually through the whole year of following this rhythm of the SDGs, I see how they really do weave together and become really the one thing. And as that beautiful image at the beginning of our session here showed, that image. And I think the factors, some of the important factors that come to my mind is that old axiom, as above, so below, and it's just been reflected by several other vocalizers this morning. And I think to find things like inner peace through our personal disciplines, whatever they mean, meditations and prayers and the like, so that that can be reflected out and informs our actions in the world. And I think things like the importance of nutrition for ourselves, nutrition of food, nutrition of thought, nutrition of feelings, so that again this helps us with our alignment with hierarchical forces, so that we don't get sidetracked into postures of egotism and self-interest, which can be very sly and very seductive at times. So I think these sorts of things are important, because then we can really have the power to come into harmony with ourselves and with each other, to create then the thought forms that sustain these ideas around the SDGs, and we don't get distracted by petty things and things that can dilute the purpose, or indeed even distort the thought form. So for me, on pondering this, I think that that relationship to one's own heart that connects up into our relationship with hierarchy, which feeds into our ability to actually do something effectively. And certainly what we do here on the platform of 2025 is so in alignment with that. And I would like to take this opportunity at the end of the year to thank the panel, the organisers, and very much Alexander, for your perseverance and the work that you do that helps bring us together into this thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Sorry, Alexander, did you?
Yes, I suggest we have him just pause to reflect. And I want to say that this work is a collective effort, not just of the 2025 coordination group, but of much wider circle of groups who persistently been within this net of light during this week and this all years preparing for the festival week. Please, Christina.
Thanks, Alexander. I just wanted to follow on from what Richard was saying, and also linking into, I think, what Richard said, links to what Martha was saying earlier, and also Iris around the importance of knowing who we are. I think Martha spoke about as a new group of world servers, and Richard's spoken about knowing who we are as individuals, and I suppose within that group. And for me, the question really highlighted a couple of things around the expression of the will to good or goodwill in service, and we know that service is really the expression of the soul, and so by aligning ourselves with the soul, we cannot help but serve. And when we stand in our spiritual being and serving with others in the world, we are able to not only come to know ourselves better, but we're able to support others by holding that space for them, whoever they are, wherever they are. And one of the little parts out of esoteric psychology, which I feel is really relevant, it's page 129. It says, let the forces of light flow through, and the ranks of the world servers will be rapidly filled. Let the spirit of peace use the lower nature as an instrument, and there will be peace and harmony within the personal field of service. Let the spirit of goodwill dominate our minds, and there will be no room for the spirit of criticism and the spreading of destructive discussion. It is for this reason, and in order to develop a group of servers who can work along true and spiritual lines, that there must be an increasing emphasis upon the need for harmlessness. Harmlessness prepares the way for the inflow of life. Harmlessness dissipates the obstructions to the free outpouring of love. Harmlessness is the key to the release of the lower nature from the grip of the world illusion and from the power of phenomenal existence. And so for me, I really think, just kind of echoing what has already been said, it is important that we do come to know ourselves and how we relate with one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Let's pause. Thank you.
May
It's
I
Wendy.
follow on? Oh, Wendy.
Okay.
No, go.
Okay, thanks. It's Wendy from Sydney, Australia. Following on from Chris, so I was going to talk about two things. One was about knowing who we are. I think that that's been really beautifully covered by Martha and Chris in relation to our service flowing automatically from us really standing in our true being. So the second thing that I will talk about is standing in that place in relation to the infinite chain of being. So the United Nations and its related infrastructures that produce the Sustainable Development Goals is the successor of the League of Nations that came into being on the stream of an idea formulated within the infinite chain of being. Within the infinite chain of being, there are many within the subtle realms, indeed a veritable army, that are ready for mobilization, for partnership across the veil. The Global Silent Minute, a shared exact moment in silence, opened or revealed a door, a gateway, a portal of cooperation between at least two worlds of hierarchy and humanity, and the millions, probably billions, on the other side of the veil, who remain committed while they're in the subtle realms between incarnations to participate in cooperating with the 7.7 billion currently in incarnation to work out humanity's evolutionary destiny. Wellesley Tudor-Pole, the instigator for the Silent Minute, called those on the other side of the veil the unseen yet mighty army who were able to assist through the opportunity provided by the mechanism of silence. As we recognize the oneness of our true spiritual identity residing in the heart of our diversity, we realize the reservoir of spiritual weaponry available to humanity from the mighty unseen army, ready for deployment in all areas of human endeavour in our stewardship for the planet. Imagine what it will be like as we more consciously cooperate with the billions on the other side of the veil. And as we continue to work with silence as action, many have built the field for the Global Silent Minute for 9 months this year by meditating every day in silence, calibrated to 9 p.m. GMT. We've all now had the experience of a global silent minute. And if people resonate with this, we could continue this global daily rhythm of meeting in the silence and harnessing the power of cooperation with the billions on the other side of the veil. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
It's Katya again. Well, I see the opportunity also with alignment with the energies that are supportive of the will to good. Knowing our moments of inflow of those energies, like this week, invoking those energies and put an intention into them. Following the rhythm of cardinal cross, solstices, and equilibriums.
Equinoxes.
Oh, equinoxes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, please.
Yes. I was giving pause for those that contributed. I'd like to give thanks for all of the sharing and for the opportunity that we all have here in this way. When I was pondering the question, what is needed to mobilize the will to good, after some time, I got maybe another question that posed it as if to answer that. And the question was, what is needed for each and all of us, the new group of world servers, to stand under the will to good? And thus we stand identifying ourselves together as a force of implacable spiritual will, the will that is needed for the law of evil sharing to give place to the law of ancient dominating good, which we are told lies behind all that God has made. What is needed, I asked, for us to stand together under the will to good, where no amount of opposition and ignorant malice can prevail? What is needed for us to stand under the will to good, creating a vortex of energy that can be used to dissipate negative thought forms? What is needed? And what I came up with after some time was education. Education in the three recognitions that we each and all of humanity have the opportunity to be and to identify themselves as soul-infused personalities, which goes along with the question that was raised earlier, to know who we are. Who we are. We're souls, we're living souls, we're soul-infused personalities. And we need to also, the second recognition would be the divine circulatory flow of energies from the radiant mineral kingdom to the light-filled plant kingdom to the dedicated animal kingdom to the intelligent, instinctual, somewhat intuitive human kingdom to the illumined kingdom of souls, and to all those that are above and beyond and within, a divine circulatory flow of energies. And the third recognition is that we have a plan. We have a plan. It's the development agenda. It's a plan that gives all of us a life of dignity. And we are told by the Tibetan master that with these three recognitions, we could change our civilization so radically that it's hard to imagine what form it would take. And to Martha's point, I'm sure economic sharing would be involved in that as well. So I thought, well, with that education, is that enough for us to stand under the will to good? And as a more personal reflection, I got another answer. And it's that only in pain do we find our will. Only in pain are we evoked. Do we hear the cry of humanity? Only in pain will we then stand together under the will to good. So the will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. And the active aid of all those who know the truth is also here. Let us stand with massed intent under the will to good. I love you.
Thank you, Sharon. when we originally were planning this meeting, we thought to have UN Sustainable Development Goals meditation in the end, but as we come close to the end of the hour, I suggest we just hold a space of silence, and this all ideas that's been shared will take with us into the following meditation that will start in a few minutes. It will be a global silent meditation where different groups will come joining from around the world, and in their work in these circles, sharing their impressions and sounding their intentions, projecting them for the next 7 years. So let's collect all these gatherings, all these sharings that been so offer it generously into the group circle. We'll bring with us into the global silent meditation, and the link to this meeting is in your chat window, so we invite you to join that. And Rebecca, if you could maybe to end this sharing this webinar, could sound the mantra of group unity, that we stand together as one group in the silence. Please unmute yourself, Rebecca.
We are one with our group brothers, and all that we have is theirs. May the love which is in our souls pour forth to each other. May the strength which is in each of us lift and aid our brothers. And may the thoughts which our souls create reach and encourage each other. Oh.